we don't have any like starting theme music, so.
Okay.
You know, one of the big things that we've been talking about in just our lives is transition. When do you think kind of that transition started to occur for you?
Yeah, it's funny because the transition in my life, actually, like I remember it to the day. It was September 3rd, which is like, a couple of days from now. And a lot was going on personally, professionally, and I remember in like January when we were in Hawaii together with our family, I felt like this sense of like it was a very weird like feeling, but when I had left the beach, I remember going to me like, it's weird. I feel like this year is going to be a year of transition. Like where a lot of the things that we know, the people that we've known in certain ways, all the things that we're used to may not be the same, as we've known them to be. And so it was just kind of like a weird feeling this January to kind of sense that inside and then just express it on the outside. Last year I chose to like put my health first and myself first before I did anything else in the day. So I started working out, started eating better, started doing a lot of listening to other experts in, health and wellness, in just like universal law, as an entrepreneur, as someone who, is running their own business. It's often hard to find that knowledge, or sometimes you just don't seek it out because you're always running a million miles to do things, or other people are relying on you for that expertise. So the part, that was the biggest thing was starting, a year ago to reconnect, and then reconnecting with like nature, and reconnecting with intuition, and reconnecting with life just in general, and really kind of taking what even I was used to and saying like, okay, I'm ready for like a transition. I'm ready for whatever the universe wants to bring me next. And here are some things, I spout out some things. I'm like, I want to learn from other people who are, senior to me. And I really want to be surrounded by those that are successful, people who've, not only have achieved like financial success, because, that's all and great, but have also achieved success in different definitions.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about how that began to materialize in your life.
Yeah, I think, I think first things first, like wanting that transition. I think there were like little moves that started to materialize in life. Career-wise, it's like, what's next, and we've been so blessed to like work with so many great people in our community and way beyond it, and being entrusted with so many people and their businesses, their brands, and it's just like slowly and surely just opening ourselves up to new opportunities there, and with Unseen Heroes. And then I just remember being brought in and asked to meet with the CEO of the Kings, and then it's like hearing from them of what they were looking to do in a time when our city was going through a lot of sadness and turmoil, and I mean there's just so much happening. And on our client side, we had the opportunity of working and helping build up a space for youth specifically to really reconnect after that. But then going and meeting with the Kings was just like another really great opportunity to kind of see where they were, and hearing from them and knowing what they wanted to do with the platform that they had. And so that was huge. It's to just come in and not only be able to share what the community's experience, or what we get to hear on a day-to-day basis, but then for them to recruit me, to help build up their community relations division and their experiences division. And so that was, another space of like, whoa, wait a second, but it was something I was asked for, is like, what's next in my career? I've done, Unseen Heroes does an amazing job, and we've built a team and a company that's truly remarkable, and they're change makers and taste makers, and they're people that really, really authentically come to the table with ideas and focus and implementation and execution. So it always felt like, okay, I feel like I've built a good team here. What's next for me? What's next for myself to help continue to build up all of the things that I'm passionate about in our community and in our city, and also us as like a city becoming more well known.
So let's talk about, I'll never forget me picking you up in the car after your meeting with the Kings, and the look on your face and the surprise that you had when you got back in the car.
Yeah.
What were you feeling in that moment?
I think I was feeling shocked because, in that meeting, they said we realized that we have a platform. We realized that we may not be using it in the proper way, or maybe we're not, using it too much at all. And we know that we need to become more connected, and we really need to give our community more love, and we know that you're able to show and do that. And so I think, the initial feeling for me was like, oh, okay, yeah, how can I help you consult on that, but then when they shared like, no, we'd like to bring you, onto our team and have you work with us here, I was shocked. I mean, it genuinely was shocked, because as an entrepreneur, as even as a woman, to be brought in a situation like that, it was shocking. I mean, like, really, I think after the conversation, I was kind of speechless for her. Like, I just looked at her and was like, I'm gonna have to get back to you. I don't know what to say. I have to think about what this means. But then meeting with different folks within the team and the league, it was very obvious that this was something that is just becoming more and more the right thing. It just felt right. I felt like it was something I was passionate about. This is a no-brainer, really. It's something that I know I can help lead and achieve, and hopefully set up a really good model for what can be and what will be.
And then how did that make you feel on the business side, and then also the relationship side? There was a little bit of there's a little bit of turmoil, tension. Between us.
Right.
Because we had built this company over 10 years, and I can kind of speak to that on my side. It was like the shock too of like, whoa, that's a great experience, but then also feeling a lot of different feelings about, just that even happening, and then thinking about it from the perspective of, me on an entrepreneur side, and always wanting to be true to being an entrepreneur. I think for me, in those moments of like reflection, it was like, I never want to go down that path, and so it was like, for you to be asking for those things in those moments, it kind of was shocking to me. And so it was a different type of shock, but I think it was a shock that we both shared in different ways,
right?
And which caused a little bit of like friction,
for sure.
And so how did you feel in those moments when you wanted to take this thing? And obviously we had this conversation and we talked it out, but there was a moment where you had to say like, I want to do this. And how did you feel in that moment?
Well, I think first things first was like, what is this thing? Because they hadn't, they were like, we're creating this new role that we envision. And, when I wanted to know, like, well, what is it? Like, what am I doing, Um, and the role was, vice president of experiences and social responsibility. And when they told me that, it just clicked. It was like, yes, that's my expertise. I know how to create an amazing experience for people in ways that they don't even know they're experiencing, or they do, and it just, becomes something that they're happy to be a part. And then on the social responsibility side, it's like, ever since I could remember, I was writing letters to like congressmen and the presidents and stuff like that to make them aware of what was happening in communities, to, shed light on the responsibilities they had and we had as a community to support each other. So it was just kind of like that natural thing. I read that book by El Luna. It was like, ask your parents what you were like when you were a child. And it helps shed light on what what is meaningful again, because as adults we forget, sometimes we forget where where our nature, our childish nature is, and that kind of brought all those things back, and just kind of my mom jogging my memory through that. And when I asked her, was something that then started making me feel warm in my heart. But I knew that I had a responsibility to a company. I knew I had a responsibility to my marriage. Like, we were interdependent on each other, and knowing that we had built a company, and that was kind of like our trajectory, right? Like, we never ever foresaw or discussed like what does happen if one of us decides like, hey, I want to go take a job over here, or hey, I want to change my career, like I'm not passionate about this anymore. Or if one of us decides, hey, I just want to do something completely different, or something in the same realm but with a different twist. I mean, we really have been focused on building community, really building up areas, creating amazing experiences through interactive events. I mean, there's been so much mission and passion towards that. Then, our retail side was really getting those off the ground and creating those, spaces that were experiences that people got to have if they didn't get to join one of our events, and they get to kind of have this whole Unseen Heroes experience through our retail. And, I think there was a lot of stress and anxiety of like, well, if I decide to move into this new role with a company that's not mine, what are people going to think? What's my husband going to think? Is he going to be mad at me? Is the public going to think like shit's going wrong, or that our company's not doing well? Which is like the complete contrary. Right? Like, it's actually like doing better than it has before. And I'm super excited to see like what our team, will continue to provide to our city, and all the ideas and new concepts and roles and other things are being hired to do, So,
that's the interesting thing, though, is because we take a lot of other people's considerations into our decision making, right?
Yeah.
And like, ooh, what are they gonna think?
Mm-hmm.
Or, what is he gonna think? Or what's the city gonna think? Instead of like really dialing in your own consideration, and I feel like when you came to me that day and you were like, I really want to take this position, it was the first time that like you showed up in a way of like, this is what I want to do regardless of the considerations.
Yeah, I had to kind of strip away, and it was interesting because I was in LA and you were here in Sacramento, and I was I was being coached, and the woman that was, I was being coached by, which I hadn't been in a long time. So even to be in the position to, one, be coachable, two, someone coaching me on just kind of like life at that time, what, before we even knew any of this would even come about, it was all just kind of like this like perfect storm of timing, right? And it's like timing is everything. And yeah, it was very emotional. I think I cried like the entire time because I was nervous about it, especially because, one, I was comfortable, and I've been comfortable with where I've been. I've been my own boss. I've been able to make my own schedule. I've created my own life. We've created a really beautiful, I don't know. I mean, we've just created a beautiful life. Like, it's just simple. Mm-hmm. Was it simple to get there? No. And that's the other thing is you start to kind of reflect about the past, but then I also have to remember, like, the past is the past. Like, that, though it's showing up in other spaces, it just is what it is. It doesn't really matter, It's more about, like, the present and then the future, right? And even then, it's like, we're not promised tomorrow, so why sit there and stress about it? Instead, let's just show up to what's there and deliver on, that day, and make sure that we're being, as authentic as we can. So yeah, it was emotional. It was happy, it was scary, it was sad at some points, because you're just like, okay, we're used to seeing each other every single day, beyond just home, but at work we get to collaborate on so much. And so, there's a lot of emotions going on. Then, ultimately it was excitement. It's like, okay, but we've got this, like, got it. It's fine. Yeah. I think what you said, you're like, you need, like, we got this. We don't really need you. Like, just go. And you're like, and it's not like we don't need you in that way. It's the fact that, like, you've been able to develop things, and this is still my passion, and this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to, this was my dream, was to be an entrepreneur and to build a company. Like, go now and live your dream of wanting to continue to, like, rise through, raise your city up and rise up into your own profession and stuff like that. So I think that's going to be exciting.
It's a wrap, guys. That's when the credits roll.
Yeah.
Oh, it should be slower than that.
There's only 4 people in the credits.
That's it. I'll put you guys in the credits too, just for shout out for helping.
Producers.
Producing credit. Although you just sat on the couch.